Everybody's listening? Yep. Anybody can hear me? I'm Christine Jenkins. I used to be a Henry. This is my grandparents. These are Jeanie Justine Henry and Brice Henry. Now I'll have to read the rest. Otherwise I'll get too nervous and forget. Brice's father, Isaac Henry, was born on a smallpox or typhus infected ship, the William Roger, not the Jolly Roger, which was quarantined for 96 days in Sydney Harbour in 1838. There were 296, sometimes it goes and doesn't it? 296 passengers and 60 people died. Land was available here under an occupational licence from the government until it was decided to encourage more white settlers to the north and offered large tracts of land for sale. He made money from gold mining to buy 5,100 acres at 5 shillings per acre here in 1879. Barbara, Isaac's wife, was the first white woman to settle in our district. Isaac, with 2 other men, Barbara's uncle James Tyson, who was Australia's first pastoral millionaire, and Edward Hewitt, Barbara's brother, bought land here also. They decided they were not up to the challenge of this wild country and left. Brice was 3 years old when he arrived here to live in a lawyer cane grass hut with his parents and 4 siblings, with very few possessions, as most of their belongings, including a sewing machine, were on a boat following them, which unfortunately sank in a cyclone. His schooling was the Lower Murray School and then the Townsville Grammar School. Brice tried his hand at timber cutting, which required the logs to be floated down the river, then loaded onto bullock wagons, finally at the mouth of the Murray River to be floated and loaded onto steamers going to Townsville. He well understood the challenges of pioneering. On the other hand, my grandmother, Jeanie, was the only child of her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Caldersmith, who were the headmaster and headmistress of the Central School in Townsville. Grandma was very well educated, had qualified as a teacher, and then looking forward to a medical profession. She was a talented musician, learned to ride a horse side saddle, and fluent in several languages, so helping many immigrants to write letters to their loved ones whom they had left in their country of origin. She could trace her ancestry back to the kings of England, King Egbert, 1827, to King Edmund Ironside in 1016, through to lords, etc. Actually, my daughter had a blood test the other day, and the doctor told her that she showed factor 8, which he said means she had royal blood. My daughter's jaw dropped, looking absolutely stunned. The doctor quickly explained, "Oh, don't get too excited about it. This just means you're most likely inbred." Brice was attending a function in Townsville when he met Jeanie. They fell in love and soon married there. At a sumptuous wedding with many important people, 10 flower girls were chosen from the Central School to partake in scattering of rose petals as they left the church. Now, I'm not sure if Brice explained thoroughly what she could expect in this new world of pioneering adventures. From a comfortable home in Townsville, she arrived here to live in a tent with a log floor, then graduated to a horse stable, a cane barracks during the slack season, because the cane cutters had better accommodation, and finally a house. Brice and Jeanie assimilated with the local natives, providing protection from the neighbouring tribes, health matters, births, severe burns, flood assistance, etc. During one huge flood, there were 8 natives, 1 pet cassowary, chickens, 4 dogs, a prize bullock in the house. It meant a huge job cleaning up afterwards. They mainly lived off the land, with an occasional trip via a rough track that Isaac had made to shop for groceries and other requirements in Cardwell. My dad and his sister Nita said the pantry was like an Aladdin's cave, especially when they were given a rare treat of old gold chocolates. Nita did a lot of cooking for the family also. The younger children were George, Marcia and Victor. The clay smoking pipes they bought were also used for the native children and their own for blowing soap bubbles. Sometimes a group of Chinese would walk past and they would give the children dried lychees, which they loved. The men of the tribe really enjoyed riding the horses and mustering the cattle. Some could leapfrog onto their horses over their hind quarters. One of these men was called Spider because he could ride a horse as if he had extra arms and legs, which made it impossible for the horse to throw him. Jeanie soon found riding side saddle was very unsatisfactory. One story was when Brice was away and all the natives had gone to a corroboree, she needed fresh milk for the children. After having quite a few mishaps and wasting of time while riding off to find the calves and cows for milking in the morning, it was almost dark. Having settled the children, she was about to doze off herself when she heard some terrible noises outside. She raced out with a gun to kill a huge python that was eating her hens. The tribe, on their return, really enjoyed that snake dinner treat. She still kept a gun under her pillows, even in the 1950s when I was a child. Brice bought a Model T Ford. It had a very hard life on the rough wagon tracks. Once its engine fell out, another mishap, while on a Mercy Dash taking two seriously ill men to Ingham, a 6-hour trip, his car broke a stub axle. A passing cyclist alerted... fancy bloody cyclist. A passing cyclist alerted the taxi in Ingham. The car was fixed, but the two patients died. Brice played a major part in the development of our sugar mill, cattle industry, Currama Range Road, jetties and many other innovations as our Shire Chairman. Grandma participated in starting many organisations, and whenever any VIPs arrived, she was called on to meet, greet and entertain the Prime Ministers and their wives and other VIPs. They worked hard and made a considerable contribution towards the development of our district. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found some of this interesting.
I'll take it.